Hi everyone, I'm Tristan, and today we're going to find out how to get the answer for 2 difficult Toeic questions. We will also improve your overall Toeic ability by looking at some key vocab, grammar, and the skills you need. All right, let's improve your Toeic score. Here's the first question. Let's use grammar to get this answer. If we look at this sentence, we have our subject, the group. Our main verb is will get. It is not finishes. Our main verb is will get. So the group will get. Therefore, when we have blank finishes the online training first, we need an adjective clause. Now, we can eliminate D immediately, because if I say the group records, that is subject verb, but I already have a verb, will get. So I can't say the group records, finishes, will get, because I have subject verb before will get. So let's remove D. Now, as I said before, you have an adjective clause in the blank. This is a clause that describes the word group. You cannot start an adjective clause with whichever. Whichever starts a noun clause. Now, a noun clause can be a subject, object, or after a preposition. Whichever equals the item with no restrictions. For example, you can buy hat A, hat B, or hat C. She will like any of those hats. So if I use whichever noun clause as a subject, I could say, whichever hat you buy will make her happy. If I use it as an object, I can say, she will like whichever hat you buy. If I use it after a preposition, she will be happy with whichever hat you buy. However, the hat whichever you buy will make her happy is incorrect. Whichever does not start a relative clause. So I will not say the group whichever. I will say whichever group you like is a strong group. Now there are 7 words that we can start an adjective clause with. Here they are. We have 2 of these words, that and whose. In an adjective clause, that can be a subject or object. Let me explain. Management made a critical decision. Now we have our adjective clause that affected all staff at the company. Here, that is the subject. We're saying the decision affected all staff. So here, that is the subject. That can also be an object. Management made a critical decision that shareholders disliked. Shareholders is the subject, disliked is the verb, and that is the object. Shareholders disliked the decision. Now, a little note, when that is an object, you can remove it. For example, management made a critical decision, shareholders disliked. We can take out that. Whose is possessive. It equals his, her, their, our, its. An example, I have coworkers whose daily commute is over 2 hours. Now, after whose, you need a subject plus verb because it's saying his car, her hat, his choice. So if I said there was a doctor who's treated patients poorly, this would be wrong because you would say whose partner treated patients poorly. You would need a noun and a verb after whose. But I could say there was a doctor whose patients loved her because you're saying her patients loved her. Okay, back to the question. As you can see, we have the group blank finishes. We do not have a noun before finishes, so we will not use whose. We are going to use that. That is the subject. The group that finishes the online training first. So the group equals that, and the group finishes the online training first, will get a gift card. So the answer is B, that. Now, let's go to the next TOEIC question. Here it is. First, let's look at two key vocabulary. The first is restrictions. These are rules, limits, regulations. The common form is there are restrictions on noun. For example, in many countries during COVID, there were restrictions on social events. So there were rules about number of people that can go to a place or the location. Now the verb is restrict. The next word is influx. This is the appearance or arrival of a large number of people or things at one time. The common form is an influx of. For example, Turkey has had an influx of refugees because of wars in the region. This means many refugees have gone to Syria at one time or recently. Now that we know the vocab, let's simplify the statement. The travel rules have been blank, so many countries will get more visitors. Okay, let's get the answer. First, eliminate C. Here, the past is not a verb. It is talking about a previous time in history. Do not confuse it with P-A-S-S-E-D. It is being used as, in the past, people usually paid in cash. So, if we use the verb P-A-S-S-E-D, we could say over 70 years have passed since World War II. Well, we are not using in the past or past time here, so eliminate C. Next, eliminate B, declined. This is because decline cannot have an object. Therefore, it cannot be passive voice when talking about decreasing. So when you use decline to talk about decrease or go down, it cannot have an object. For example, it would be wrong to say the marathon declined my energy because decline cannot have an object. Therefore, I cannot say my energy was declined. So it cannot be passive. If it cannot have an object, it cannot be passive voice. This sentence, travel restrictions have been declined, would be passive voice. Someone has, or the government has declined travel restrictions. That is wrong because decline cannot have an object. So I cannot say travel restrictions have been declined. So eliminate decline. Now we have A and D. We can use grammar and logic to get this answer, but let's just look at grammar. Rise, rose, risen is like decline. It cannot have an object. Therefore, it cannot be passive. For example, if I use rise, rose, risen, I could say, last year, oil prices rose. No object. Oil prices will rise. No object. Or oil prices have risen. It would be wrong to say the grocery store rose fruit prices because, once again, rise, rose, risen cannot have an object. It is an intransitive verb. So it would be wrong to make it passive voice. Fruit prices were risen. This is wrong because it's passive voice. For this situation, you would need to use raise, raised, or raised. Because this sentence would be passive, the travel restrictions have been risen, and risen cannot be passive, we cannot pick D. Therefore, the answer is A, eased. And eased means to weaken, to bring down the strength. For example, the government has eased restrictions on COVID. So they've relaxed restrictions. They've weakened restrictions. So restrictions have been eased. Therefore, the answer is A. Well, thank you everyone for watching. I had a few technical problems today, so I was a little stressed out. but hopefully finishing this lesson will ease my stress. All right, everyone, please subscribe, like, share. Have a wonderful day. Bye.